Guys, welcome back to Muhammad Halal Unscripted. This is a bit of a different video, as you can see. It's not just me sitting yapping at a camera for 30 minutes. Today we have a very special guest. This is Mr. Jake P.
What's up, sir?
And as you can see with the scene that we have with us today, we're sitting in front of cars because with Jake West, we have his beautiful Porsche. And then with Mr. Jake P, we have this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful blue CLE 53 that we just picked up today. We have a whole story pretty much lined up as to what led to this moment. But the goal of today's video is to act as more of an interview on the journey of someone that's kind of already made it in a way. My goal with a lot of the content that I put out is to get people to start their journey in online entrepreneurship, to make their first dollar online. I share as much of my story as I can. Jake shares a lot of his story on his content as well. And so today we want to hear about the experience of someone that has joined our mentorship, the CCC. And even before then, what was it like that actually led him to the point in which he decided to embark on the journey of entrepreneurship? The ups, the downs, the fears, the moments of excitement, just so that you guys can see that anybody can do it. I'm gonna be doing a variety of these interviews with a lot of the other members of our community that we have that have also started and made it, so you guys get that variety of stories and experiences. But for today, as I mentioned, we're starting off with a very, very, very special guest. Jake P flew in from New York this morning.
Yes, I did.
We met him right at the dealership to pick up this car, and so here we are. So I guess let's just start off by filling people in about this car specifically and how we got ended up in this point today. Besides
being a rough day, flights, this, that, it was all made worth it when I got to that dealership. You guys showed up, and we had this reveal for this beautiful car that I finally, worked so hard to get. And then overall, just the experience of today of coming into Miami and seeing what the lifestyle is and what there's more to be offered out there. You know what I mean? There's more to take, honestly, and just driving this around and in Miami, seeing with you two guys and your cars and just the whole experience.
It's different out here, bro. It's different than New York.
It's different. Right? It's different, man. I can't lie. I can't wait to get this to New York because then I'll be different there. Yeah. In Miami, it's a lot of dude. It's crazy. You seeing that?
Miami for a few hours and switched up on his day ones.
That's it. I'm out. I'm coming here. But overall for today, it's been an experience, man. It's been even an eye opener and just so excited to start moving on and creating a new life.
All right, man. So big moment, obviously, that we came to today, but I'd like to rewind to as far back as your childhood, Think back to 10-year-old Jake P up into your 20s, up into now almost 30 years old. So what was it like for you growing up? What were some of your goals in terms of career? What did you expect? When someone would tell you, Jake, as a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? What did you say? And then kind of walk us through how you decided to step into entrepreneurship and then stepped into the program.
Okay, so when I was a kid, I'm not gonna say, it's like a from the gutter story. My father, we had a family business. I grew up with a pretty good childhood. We did a lot of things. My dad luckily did well. I never really knew what he did for the longest time. I just, I'm sure just like most, kids, their parents just go to work and they come home, But I did always know that he had his own thing going on. Now, he had his own business, so growing up, I remember before I even knew what the word meant, even in 6th, 7th grade, what do you want to be when you grow up? Everyone said cop, this, that. I always said entrepreneur. I didn't even know what the word meant.
Really?
Yes, since at least 6th grade, I've always said entrepreneur. Didn't know what it meant. I just knew whatever that was, I wanted to do it, And to really pursue that, of course, I did what any man would really do when I have a family business, is went into the family business. I tried to avoid it for a little while at first. I worked at restaurants for a while. I worked in a bunch of different regular jobs that I could work until my father threw out his back, and then I went into the family business.
Did you go to college?
I tried college. I didn't finish college.
Okay.
I tried it out. High school was never for me.
Good grades, school. Medium grades, poor grades?
No. They had a meeting specifically for me when we were graduating, just to see, hey, are we letting him go or are we holding him back?
Yeah, it was one of those.
I had, my grades were terrible.
Okay. So
I was there half the time,
So in high school.
I was a troublemaker.
Mindset, you knew you were going to go to college, or you knew the family business was it?
I knew the family business was it, but something in the back of my head still pushed me off it.
Okay.
Because clearly I tried to work other jobs for a good, couple of years, maybe 5, 6, 7 years. I worked other jobs before I don't want to say I was forced to go into the family business, but I played around there a little bit as a kid. You know, I went there. I worked on like a Saturday here, and then doing basic stuff. And then I was working a restaurant job for a while. I was doing pretty well there, actually. Nothing like this, but doing decently well. And then my dad threw out his back, and I kind of just started driving him to work and said, all right, I'm going to try this. And, next thing you know, a decade later, I'm miserable there. I'm waking up every day at 5 a.m, driving an hour to work in traffic. Yeah. No matter the rain, snow, sun, doesn't matter. It could be a tornado outside. I'm sure he would tell me to open. And it was just, I couldn't understand the lifestyle of that. Of just feeling like I was a rat running around the maze. You know what I mean? The lines telling me where to go. You know what I mean?
And so you still felt this despite the fact that you were in a business that had your family's name on it and you guys had ownership of. You still felt like it was somewhat of a rat race.
I absolutely. I felt like it was more of a rat race. I almost was second guessing, why am I? Not for nothing, the business was doing good and bad at times, but I would say in the time that I was in it, and not because of me, because of the industry and how it fluctuates, I just kind of got hit with more of the bad time. And I think I got also such a bad taste in my mouth from that and realized how much more you can control your own life, making money online and figuring out other opportunities online. And I just realized this is not this place. I think the money not coming in from there and the place owing me money and this and that put me into the mindset to realize it, And I realized a trap that happens with that place that I'm sure a lot of small business owners run into as well, which is I feel like they become a little bit of like almost live entities. And when you're doing bad, you want to get out. But the second you're really trying to get out, it'll give you just enough to stay in. You know what I mean? It'll give you just enough to stay in.
That's a big point to talk about, actually. The fact that a lot of people want to get started in essentially the step that you took, but one of the reasons they don't do it is because of exactly what you just said right there. It's just enough comfort in their current position that, it sucks to be there, but it's not so bad that you are like in miserable pain to get out. Like You have just enough to keep your head above the water. And so some people stay there their entire lives. But I'm curious, so for you did it for, you said a decade?
I've been there for a little over 10 years now.
So you ran the family business for a decade. When you started having thoughts about switching out of it and then going into anything out of the online business, before like you even found out about our mentorship and considered joining it, was the main trigger the fact that you were just exhausted of what you were currently doing, or was it recognition in the opportunity of just being online and the leverage that it offers? Or was it a combination of both even?
Well, realistically, the big lever was, a little backstory. So up until last year, up until 12 months ago, just about today, I was engaged, and that kind of fell apart really bad. And I guess it needs a little more backstory. I was a wild kid growing up. I would party. I would, I was growing up. I was a wild guy. And I'm sure there's some psychological cockiness in that I was young and I did have the family business and I thought I was this big shot business owner, and really I'm not making enough money. I mean, I'm learning that when me and my ex-fiance are trying to get a house. I can't even get a mortgage approved on a mortgage, and I'm thinking I'm this big balling business owner. Yeah. And but really what the nail in the coffin was, I don't know if that's the correct term for it, but what really pushed me was, when where it ended is, I had a bachelor party. I cheated on that. From there she found out. It was a whole big thing, of course, with a lot of people involved, and ultimately, my relationship suffered because of it. And things happen for a reason. I'm not sad or, afraid to talk about it because it worked out in a better way. Yeah. But from that point, that's when I realized maybe it was her telling me, maybe. Oh, you loser, this, that, maybe.
Something that would go on, she would talk to you like that?
Well, after the breakup, I'm saying, okay. You're a loser, this, that, oh, you're a business owner, we can't get a house, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what, you're right. I think a certain point of it was trying to get her back at a certain, at a period of time for it. Yeah. Get my shit together.
So then, okay, she's putting these ideas in your head and you realized it was time for a change.
It was time for a change.
How did you get the idea of online business? Like, where'd that come from?
So me, Jake, and Mo, me and Jake have known each other for a very long time.
Yeah.
I think we're coming up to probably 6-7 years we've known each
Probably
other.
about, yeah.
We're just about that long now.
6, 7.
That can get cut out, right? Oh, man. So, knowing Jake for a while, he did, Jake and Mo did a lot of marketing for me for the company I had. And, I just kind of saw when me and my ex broke up, these guys kind of moved on to their next chapter in their life.
Yeah, we moved at about the same time that went down. Me and Muhammad moved out to Miami around the same time.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Jake actually, 5 minutes before he got to the airport, stopped at my office because it's down the block, just to make sure I was doing it right before he got on the plane.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that.
Yes,
I wanted to come see you.
Yeah. He made sure he stopped in. He wanted to, and I always appreciate that. And not a lot of friends will say what's up when they give it a week and then they're done.
No, I really cared, bro. It was a big thing that went down, and it was heavy. I wanted to check on you.
No, I appreciate it, man. And I saw, he was telling me, he was like, yeah, I'm getting on a flight to Miami in an hour, and
pretty much.
that's my new life, and
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe something stuck there, and we started talking for a little while longer, about marketing and this, and then finally, I think I just called you one day, right? And I was like,
yeah, we were talking about some work we were doing for A&A on Zoom a couple months later, and then you had asked to think about the program, because obviously on my Instagram I post things and I put stuff out there about the students and how well they're doing, and Jake just basically hit me up and he's like, what's this thing you're doing teaching other people how to do marketing, how to start businesses? And then from there we had the discussion. I think right away that first phone call you were like, bro, this is what I've been looking for so long. Like, this is something that is really resonating with me.
Actually, I can think about the exact phone call. Now that you're saying it, I can picture it. I remember me saying, I was like, it wasn't even going into like an agency at first. I was just like, I need to learn marketing. I was like, I have ideas I want to market. And then from there, I was like, you know what? Like, I want to join this program. I want to start an agency. I know the skill set will take me far and beyond across anything I want to. But, I just saw the guy, the moves you guys were making. I think, did you have the Vantage at that point yet?
We had the Vantage.
You had it.
Got rid of it. I had the M4 at the time.
So it's funny actually you mention your ascension into the program, because from my perspective, and just to give you guys context, Jake P was working more intimately with Jake West in terms of like their relationship when Jake P was a client at Flagship Media. So on my end, I would only ever really like check in on the projects every once in a while, see what was going on and get an update. And I'm slowly noticing more and more Jake P's involvement with a lot of like the agency stuff and a lot of the marketing tools that we were using for other clients and like our internals. He was exercising for himself and for his family's business. Yes. And so I think at one point in time, I actually went to Jake West and I was telling him like, yo, is Jake P like thinking of maybe starting an agency or something on the line of his own? Like, he was definitely a much more invested client in the process than our average client. Like, our average client basically pays us on a monthly basis at Flagship Media, at our agency, to do the work for them. They don't want to have to think about it. They don't have to want to worry about it. They don't really care if we're knocking on people's doors and handing out postcards, As long as we're getting leads, we're sending it to them, they're able to sell their product, that's all that matters. Whereas Jake P was actually very curious in the beginning. He'd ask questions and he was doing research and asking about the marketing itself. Yeah, and then before I know it, I check like our community chat and I see that he's been added and like we're all congratulating him on joining. And this was July of 2025, so a little less than just a year from this exact moment.
So thoughts going into the program, were you initially scared, nervous? Because there's a lot of people out there that get very skeptical about this type of thing and they hear, okay, it's this amount of money to join and this is how it works, and what if it, all these doubts and fears come up. What were you thinking in that moment? Were you like pumped up, fired up, excited, or were you scared? Yeah, Jake paid in full, in cash, I think.
No, you were going to Florida already.
What'd you say?
I had to send you, I paid it in full, but it had to be like 3 different Zelle payments because
but it was cash. Yeah,
just paid it out right. I didn't want to.
Jake paid in full. Took the risk. When he said this is what I was doing, he just burned the bridges and went in one go, which is very admirable. Not a lot of guys that we've seen like in our industry or in the program have those types of balls.
Even a little further into that, not to tap myself, but even a little further into that, the day I signed up and sent you guys the cash, I didn't tell my dad I was doing any of this.
Yeah.
I didn't tell him nothing.
Yeah.
I literally paid you guys that cash, went to his house the next day and said, hey, dude, sell a business. I'm done.
Oh, yeah. So this is crazy. We got to get into this.
Did you know about this, Mo?
I heard that you were selling the business. I don't have context. Like, what happened exactly?
Yeah,
Tell
so
them. All right, so 65 years, family owned and operated. Your grandfather started the
my
business?
grandfather, my uncle started it, and most of my family's been through it. And
Okay, and then Jake had the balls to go to his father and say, sell the entire thing, we're out, we're done. I found something better. What was that like?
It was an argument. I mean, I definitely blindsided him, and I was just so ready
Yeah.
that, you know, I knew it was something like, I didn't feel like talking about it because I knew if we got into a discussion, it could have fell off. And I had to go in there and just be stern with it. And I think that was the first step of like becoming a real, you know, your own real boss. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, so what was your dad's initial reaction on what he said? He said you're out of your mind?
I legitimately paid you guys. The next day, I walked in his house. He's having coffee, thinking I'm just coming in to say hello, and I gave no warning. I just said, "Hey, so I'm gonna start my own business. I'm buying a computer tomorrow. We're selling the business."
Damn, bro.
You know, I probably should have been a little nicer about it, I think, in hindsight, but I was just, that's how determined I was and not ready to take no for an answer.
Yeah.
You know, and it was, you know, I went in there, I said, hey, we're selling it. I'm buying a laptop. I'm here to help you with it, but we don't have that much time because I'm gone, you know.
Yeah. That's the DNA of a successful entrepreneur, bro. Doesn't take no for an answer, persevered through any type of criticism, taking the risk, doing it completely like balls to the wall, pay in full. I don't care. I'm doing it. I'm committed. Burning the bridges.
Yeah. And you know, it's hard with family, but you know, I don't want it to sound bad, but I couldn't let anybody get in the way of what I was going for next.
That's always a hard decision.
You know, and you know, there was a nice factor of it at the end too, that you know, my relationship fell off, and I didn't have to worry about backing anybody up. You know, I could go full all in. I mean, we worked it out in a nice way. Luckily, he saw the determination. He saw I was dead serious. It wasn't just Jake P coming up with another idea. You know what I mean? Jake knows my ideas. Not
all of them are so great.
I ran a lot of ideas by him. Luckily, we worked that out in a sense, but I mean, like you said before, and it's what I stand by, is risk. And I was fully ready to bet on myself. You have to remember going into this, I have $10,000 in bills a month I gotta pay. I got an apartment. I got
how much money wrapped up in A&A?
How much money wrapped up in the business, car payments, this, that. And, you know, I'm not the type of guy that wants to downgrade to upgrade. You know what I mean? So I was like, I gotta bust my ass so I don't have to move this down and I can make more. You know what I mean? So
do you think you could have still had the same level of commitment had you perhaps not been so aggressive in your commitment initially? Like you could have, let's say, still been running the family business and doing this on the side? Or do you feel like you only have gotten to the point today because of the level of necessity that you gave it to commit to this full time?
It's
like if you had to advise someone else to basically do what you did, because you obviously, I mean, you're coming off the back of a whale. You know, you had a family business that was in the family for 65 years, and we're selling that to start a new online agency, which of course, like you did your research, you saw the opportunity.
A 7-figure business.
Yeah, like a 7-figure family business. So you definitely like, I mean, hats off to you many times over, bro. But
thank you.
Yeah, like if you had to advise somebody else to essentially follow your path, would you tell them, or your kids even, like you obviously want to give your sons the best advice, right? When you have your kids in the future, God willing, are you looking to tell them to burn the boats in the same exact way that you did? Or would you tell them, maybe play it a little safer than I did, keep working on your current job or business until you have security in the next one? Because obviously it worked out for you, but do you think it could be replicated?
It depends if they're willing to hurt for it a little bit, you know? If they're willing to put that time in, if they're willing to do it. I mean, you guys have seen it. You know, I did, you know, my business required 65 hours a week hands-on, and I built everything else in between. You know what I mean? You know, it really depends your drive on it. I feel like if, I don't want to steer anybody the wrong way if it you know, and point anybody in a direction they might not be comfortable with, but if you feel it, you'll feel it. You'll know.
Yeah,
you'll know.
I think, that's actually a really interesting question, because I almost think of entrepreneurship as almost like this bug you get in your brain at a certain point in your life, and it doesn't leave you alone until you start paying it attention. Yeah, exactly. You know?
Yes.
And what ends up happening is, I guess, corresponding to your desire and how strong it is, the less you'll be able to ignore it, and the more it'll just start to bug the shit out of you in a daily basis, you know?
It's just,
I remember not being able to sleep at night. Like, I remember dreaming and having nightmares of not starting the business, and then eventually, like, okay, how am I going to live like that every day? what am I gonna do? I'm gonna just keep going to school and just focus in class every day. Like eventually, I'm gonna have to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
funny enough, actually, if I could touch on that real quick, it's because that's where I noticed it a lot too. Is most people under stress, like you said, they'll stay up, and me, I'm the opposite. My fight or flight is if I'm under an immense amount of stress, I'll go to sleep. So that was the problem. I was sleeping all the time. That's how I knew I wasn't doing what I was supposed to.
like borderline, like almost like a
Bum. I was getting my work done at work. I was doing it bottom of the line. I was over it, but still, I guess didn't have that. I knew it. I felt that there's a life that's better there for me, and it's almost written if I just want to take it. You know what I mean? But I have to go get it. But you know, it's you know, you just know. You know what it is.
It's interesting actually because I have the opposite story. So when I started my business, I went more down the path of I'm going to wait until there's a proof of concept here first and then slowly transition myself into the new thing. And when I started, my first business was an Amazon dropshipping store. So they don't allow that anymore. Amazon changed their policies. They haven't allowed that in a very, very long time. I think there was always even some gray area about doing it in the first place. But I was working 3 jobs and I was going to school full time and I was starting my Amazon business. And so I did that for about a year and a half. And I really wanted to make sure that whatever I was doing with Amazon was going to make it big enough to the point where now I could quit all my jobs. I can go to my family who are both school teachers. My parents are both school teachers, so that's not an easy conversation when it comes to education. And basically say like I'm dropping out. You know, I felt like I personally had to meet a very high level of standard to be able to say like I'm burning the bridges the same way you did. You know, so I think it can go both ways. I think you have to just figure out what works for you and your personality type. Some people can wait, some people can be patient, some people can be methodical about it, you know, and then some people just like have to jump into it just to get that fly out of their head, you know, just to get that heat off their back.
Yeah, so that's what it was. A Band-Aid rip for me too, you know, and it was hard, bro. I'm telling your dad, hey, I'm done. We're done. Yeah. Everything that you've stayed here for, I'm canceling.
Yeah.
You know, but I felt it. I knew it. I just knew it in my every feeling in my gut that it was going to work.
Well, that's kind of the point. That's the whole paradox about it, is because when you have that bug in your mind, that parasite that just won't leave you alone, that like it's almost like a sink dripping over and over and over. You just like can't stop hearing it. It's like a ringing in your head.
It's like water torture.
Yeah, and then so the moment you do take the risk and the moment you dive into it, even though that's probably the most unstable position you've been in a long time, the most risk is at the highest peak. In that moment, you still feel a tremendous release. Like you feel like such a weight off your back, even though you're in probably the riskiest position you've been in a long time.
And you know how I know it too is just, you know, obviously like I had people knew the emotional state I was in, kind of a little erratic and, you know, depressed and this and that. And, you know, we're like, dude, all right, like take a step back. You're throwing out, like you said, like, you know, 7-figure business.
Dude,
because like you're like, maybe give it a couple months and think about this. And I'm like, no, I'm all in. Yeah. You know, of course, they got into the whole, you know, careful with the courses, why are you paying these guys, you know, and bro, I just knew it. I knew, you know, Jake and Mo were legit. I've known Jake for a while, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And I just known, like, it works.
It works, baby. Like, let's go. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Like,
that's all you need to know.
That's it. Proof of concept established.
Proof of concept. Done.
No, like, because, you know, people tell you, no. And I'm like, no. I know where I believe in there's certain paths to follow, and if you're on the right one, you'll feel you're on the right one. You know you're taking the right one.
Yeah. And one second, and especially because I just want to mention this last piece. When you're the person driving the boat, it's much easier to trust where the boat is going. So like there's the saying, right? Statistically, you're much more likely to die in a car. But being in a plane is always way more anxiety inducing because you can't control anything that happens. Like if you're going to die, you're going to sit there and you're going to watch yourself just die. You know, at least in a car, even if it was going to work out in the worst way possible and you had no chance of changing your fate at all, you could still at least turn the steering wheel and try. You know, and so it's always a little less scary. And same thing kind of goes with entrepreneurship. It's like, if I remember feeling, right, at my job, I was also a server. I was making like 10 grand a month. On some months it was like 4 or 6, but like New Year's, 14 grand, you know, in a week. It was crazy. So that's a pretty good job for somebody that's, I think I was 19 or 20 at the time. You're not going to really make that money unless you go start a business or get a degree after that. You know, like that's kind of really as good as it gets. And even with that amount of money every month, you would think that's it's a fat thing to sit on. I still felt so unsafe because if the guy sitting at the desk decided to just stop signing my paychecks, that's it. I was gone. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
All the effort I put into building this other guy's business, it was going to stay with him. None of it was coming back to me. I had nothing to show for it. I was just going to be out on the street, you know. But running your own business, even though, to the 9 to 5, I guess we'll say the 9 to 5er, with all due respect, or the W2er, they look at a business owner and they're like, that's insanely risky. I don't understand how you wake up every day and you feel safe with all of this stuff that could just come burning down. But for us, it's like, but it's up to me. I can control if it's burning down or not.
And you'll know if you're going to do it right.
Yeah, like I'd rather sit in the car at the steering wheel than sit in the back of the plane having someone else drive it. It's Miami for you.
Miami.
So I think a very important note to bring up in this video is the fact that Jake keeps using the word path. And it's important to definitely give it a point of conversation when you're talking about entrepreneurship, because starting entrepreneurship is truly a path. What you're essentially doing is you are literally taking the train tracks of your life and completely changing their directions. You're not going to have two trains that are running next to each other, one of safety, one of discomfort, and then if the discomfort one, if quote unquote it blows up, then you're just going to jump on that one. What you need to do is literally change the entire trajectory of your life into saying you're going to commit to entrepreneurship so you can make it work. And it's important to note that when you're choosing that path, guys, what that means is the first idea that you embark on will not always be the idea that's going to make you a millionaire. Which means if you're someone that's going to invest in a course, invest in a mentorship, start on the path of entrepreneurship to begin with. There is still so much for you to learn and so much for you to see and so much for you to experience that you still don't know what you don't know. And so what that means is you should step into your start of the journey expecting that the first thing that you try or learn or do will not be the thing that helps you make $1 million. If anything, that first course that you buy will probably only give you 1 to 2 pieces of information from maybe 10% of the entire course material that will actually be useful to you in building up to that first $1 million. For me personally, that was exactly what happened. My first course I bought for $1,000. I consumed maybe 20% of all that material, and to this day I only use maybe 1 to 2 pieces of that entire course that I paid $1,000 for in my current business operations. But it's exactly what I needed. All I needed from that first course was to give me the permission and the courage to actually start on this path. Once I was on it, every mentorship that I took after that, that was actually what contributed to me sharpening my skill sets to actually start and be more useful and more valuable in the space that I'm in right now. But it's because I actually changed the trajectory of my entire life to embark on the journey of entrepreneurship. And so now the more that I invest, the more that I learn, these are the step-by-step increases that are helping me actually become more valuable as an entrepreneur. But was the first and only course that I took in the beginning the thing that helped me get to where I am today? Or for example, even with Jake, when he started out in the program initially, was building an agency the only thing that has unfolded to today? No, he now has doors that have opened to him that were previously not available, which I want to get a little bit into, Jake. So you were still running the family business, you started the agency, and now with the skill sets that you have, you're actually still running the family business, you have a container business, and you're actually working with a kind of like lawyer / partner that helps with toll cases in New York. Is that correct?
Yeah, so pretty much, what I did is I realized that I had a specific asset of my original family business that, I can use marketing for to branch off into a side business that I can even take with me when I leave there. Because it has nothing to do with being in shop. It's, middlemaning stuff. Beyond the points of, how that actually operates, the main point of it is marketing. Marketing is how it operates, and it really is. That's the core of that entire business is that side venture is marketing. And that, going into, saying I'm going to take this new path and learning this new skill set, that opportunity wouldn't have come about. Then from there, I've used a specific guy for Easy Pass and toll by mail issues, New York and New Jersey, and that I have a lot of issues with all the time, just like a lot of people do. And we happened to just get into talking one day. We've always been friendly. I used him for 6 years, and I happened to mention I'm in marketing, and he's like, holy crap, I'm just doing referrals and lawyers, and word of mouth. He's like, partner in with me and do my marketing, take a piece of this pie too. And
yeah.
It's almost like people throwing it at you at that point,
Yeah. Before we get into, because I want to ask you about how we ended up transitioning out of that and where that idea got seeded with the ads we were running initially for your family business and how that really grew. I just want to go back to a point you made that's very, very interesting, something I think about a lot. And I like what you said, Muhammad, a lot about entrepreneurship you will embark on a new journey that most of the time, 99% of the time, is going to take your life in a completely different direction, probably forever. Probably. And that sounds very scary at first, but again, going back to what we had said before, there's really only two options. One, you just keep living out the mundane life, not taking the risks, not trying, not doing what you want to do, working for someone else, going places you don't want to go because of things that you need. And eventually your life, you just end up living for other people constantly. Or you start the business and you take the risk and you get that bug off your back. That's number one. But number two, it's not supposed to feel, I feel like a lot of people look at business owners and they go like, oh my God, you know, you're so confident and you feel so good about your business. And like, I just don't have that and I can't break that barrier. Like, bro, this is not comfortable. It's not. Like, entrepreneurship is not really that comfortable. When we talk about railroad tracks, right? When we talk about the path, we talk about changing the path. It's not like me and you are sitting down and we're like, here's the path, and then it goes that way and that way and that way and that way and that way, and then for 45 miles it goes that way, and then at the end we get there. It's literally like I'm placing the next track as I'm moving.
Yeah.
Like I'm placing the next track every single time, and I'm figuring it out as we go. And so there's always the sweat running down my back of like, what am I going to do next month? What am I going to do in 2 or 3, 4 months? Now, eventually, when you get to these high levels, the game starts to become, how can I build the tracks out for longer? How can I put systems in place so I'm not worrying about like monthly income and stuff like that, you know? But the name of the game is it's not comfortable, but you don't really have a choice, because if you're sitting there and you're listening to us right now and you're going, this is me, these are the fears I'm having. When I lay in my bed at night, this is my uncomfortability with myself, then I'm sorry, brother, but you don't have a choice. You're going to have to join this. And again, as long as I'm driving the boat, I'm always going to feel more comfortable than having, I guess, a seat on somebody else's boat. So funny story, Muhammad and I we weren't really business partners, but we were working the same business model together in my Amazon dropshipping model before we partnered on the agency. So Muhammad pulled, 40 grand in his first week?
The first day.
First day, 40 grand of revenue. I mean, I should have been a coach for that, bro. Come on. I should have been selling a course on that. But eventually, we got caught, like whatever. Amazon shut him down because he did so well. They flagged his account. Jay, keep this in your head, right? We have to talk about how we were running exposure ads versus lead gen ads, and that's how you got the idea to take lead generation ads into other things, which is the container service, which kind of relates back to what I'm saying right now about placing the tracks as we go.
Gotcha.
Just keep that, okay? Okay, so if you guys don't know, I talk about this a lot on my Instagram. You guys can go on my Instagram and check that out and check my other YouTube videos. I was away for a long time against my own will. Not in jail or anything like that, but I was forced to be away because I had been in some trouble with myself internally I had to figure out, okay? Eventually, after a couple of years, they opened the doors, kicked me out on the street and said, Jake, go buy a phone, go open a bank account, and go find a job. I had nothing, okay? So a lot of you guys out there, you have a phone right now, you have a job, if not multiple, and you have a bank account. I had to literally go figure out how to buy a phone because I didn't have money, so I had to get a job first to buy a phone to open a bank account. That's how difficult it was, just to get on the street, okay? So my whole thing was like, I don't know what business I want to start, but I'm going to make damn sure that the year and a half I just spent away, I'm going to make the most use of it. I don't want to be mediocre when I get out. That was my vow to myself. If I'm going to do this, I'm not going to come out and be mediocre. So I just started literally scrolling on TikTok, online business ideas, entrepreneurship, online business. And then, you know, at the time, dropshipping was just getting like very mainstream. And so obviously that's what I ended up seeing. And so I bought a course, okay? A lot of you guys, when you come to us and you're explaining to me, Jake, the amount of money that I have to invest into this business or whatever the financial burden is for the barrier of entry into this model is scary. I understand exactly where you're coming from. I'm not somebody that sits on my high horse and I'm like, well, I'm making money, so I know this is insignificant for you. That's not true. When I bought my first course for the Amazon dropshipping, I had $1,200 in my bank account. The course fee was $1,000. And rent for $850 was due in like 2 weeks. And I was not gonna make the $850 if I spent this. Like I had already made the $850 and I had to keep it to spend it on rent. I bought the course because it was gonna go up in 3 days. Maybe that was a lie, maybe it wasn't. Maybe he's a good closer or not, okay? I bought the course. Turns out you're not allowed to really drop ship on Amazon. Now I didn't hit it as big as you did right away, so I got away with it for longer, okay? By the time Muhammad had done it, I had done it for about, 9 months? So I knew like almost a year. So I knew exactly how to get you to the point where you were going to make a bunch of bread. But what had happened was eventually I got shut down, okay? About around the 9-month mark, they flagged my account, and what Amazon does is they're going to hold your money. And they're basically going to say, prove to us you're not drop shipping, and we'll get back to you in 3 months after we make a decision, and we'll decide if you can get the money or not. Now the scary thing about that is when you're fulfilling orders drop shipping, depending on how you're doing it, I'm placing the orders out of my credit card. and then I'm waiting for my bi-weekly paycheck from Amazon to come back. So whatever I had in that last paycheck, they kept. I owe it on a credit card now. So that's what was so dangerous about it, right? So Muhammad at the time, he had just started what is now Flagship Media, and you had a couple clients, and we would meet up late at night when he had the Isuzu. You got to throw up a picture of the Isuzu, bro.
Yeah. At this point in time, Flagship Media had only been officially LLC'd and running for like a year and a half. And Jake and I also had met not too long ago from that point. And we were like friends that met through a mutual friend. So we'd meet up every night in the Isuzu, which I'm going to try to throw up a picture right here. Yeah. On Emmons Ave in Brooklyn, that was like the main hangout spot. And we would just chop it up every night about like what I was doing in business, what he was doing in business. Until one point in time, we would like hit it off so well. He was like, yo, if you show me how to do the marketing stuff, I'll show you how to do the Amazon stuff. And that was a good exchange for us because I was blown away by like him selling products and making what was $10,000 a month at that point or more.
Yeah, it was more, but my profit margins were like nothing really.
Yeah, and then he was just like busy fulfilling orders all day and night. And then he was amazed by the idea that I just had like 5 clients that were paying me $2K a month each. Very little work that I had to do every single week. And the fact that the profit margins are pretty much like 95%. Like if a client paid me $2,000, I was pretty much taking home like $1,800. Maybe I spent like $200 on softwares, if any at all, but like it was very mainly much profit.
The grass is always greener on the other side when you have a business, bro. I'm selling products with thin margins. He's like, oh, that's so sick. I'm looking at him, couple of clients, nothing like crazy, not a big workload, 10 grand a month profit. I'm looking at that like, damn, that's sick, you know? The online business owner wants to own physical assets. The physical assets owner wants to own online businesses. Like the grass is always greener on the other side. Shiny object syndrome. We'll come back to that.
Yes, I mean, that was really what started it out. So then that was the exchange that we made. I showed Jake how to run marketing, which eventually turned into like him becoming my partner at Flagship Media now. Yeah. He showed me how to run the Amazon stuff. And so I remember when I first made my account live, for like the first 3 hours, there was a weird silence. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but the fact that I actually got my first sale after 3 hours was like the incredible part. Those 3 hours though, I remember like I probably checked my Amazon account like 7 times an hour to see if I got my first sale. I just missed it until boom, I got that first ding.
Oh, God, that feeling.
It was,
oh my God.
It was 2:30 in the morning and I called Jake. I lived in Staten Island at the time. He lived in Brooklyn. I was like, yo, I just got my first sale. How do I fulfill it? He was like, bro, come over right now.
I swear to God, I'll never feel that again.
Bro, so I got in my little Isuzu at the time. I went all the way to his apartment in Brooklyn, and we spent from like 2:30 until 4 a.m. showing me how to fulfill orders. Yeah. And from there, I just became obsessed. I was like, yeah, this is it, bro. Like, I don't have to do any marketing. The customers come to me. Yeah. If I'm making $15, like, I'm just going to go balls to the wall with this. So first day, ended up selling $40,000 worth of products. And that was what got me into trouble very quickly. Like, I want Jake to also get into how his account shut down. Yeah. But for me, I got so much volume because I cracked the equation on like finding all the best product to sell initially that $40,000 of orders worth in the first day. Amazon flagged me because it was too much volume from a very new account. And then on top of that, because I was basically living the same life that Jake was living at that point, just spending day and night fulfilling orders, I had accidentally messed up one of the orders and sent a Walmart product to an Amazon customer with the Walmart receipt. So they reported me, and that's what locked my account. Yeah. So as Jake mentioned, the appeal process with Amazon to get your money back is excruciating. He got lucky. I think you got paid out in like 3-4 months, right?
Yeah, for me, it wasn't that bad. I got paid out, yeah.
3-4 months?
No, it was actually pretty quick. It was like, I think a month and a half I got paid my money.
Okay. So I got my money held up for 6 months, and I went into $50,000 worth of debt because I had borrowed money that wasn't mine. Aside from spending money on credit cards that I had to pay back, I also had gotten like investors to just, like, I got very excited about the concept as I did. Like, there were people that would look at invest. I showed them like proof, like Amazon screenshots of 40 grand of revenue, and one day they're like, here's my money. And so they gave me the money. Amazon locked the account. I didn't get paid out for 6 months. And so that was my issue with the Amazon, but I want to, you tell me what yours.
Actually, it's funny enough, I don't really remember what specifically got me locked up. I remember there was a couple situations where I was big into the couches. If you guys know Mainstays from Walmart, like, dude, if you bought a couch from Walmart or on Amazon, if it was Mainstays in 2021, like,
probably this.
Chances are it was me. like, I put it on my credit card first, okay? So there was one situation where a lady ordered it to Puerto Rico, And on Amazon, I think I had not registered that I was selling products to Puerto Rico, but Walmart fulfilled it. And then there was an issue because she tried to make a return or something like that. There was a couple of issues like that where it was like you would never think in a million years to like set up infrastructure against things like that, you know? I should have got a lawyer or something, but like, I don't know, it was very specific. I can try and figure out and come back to it, but it was something where, similar to you, I had blown up my own spot because I sent something to a customer in some form or fashion that I shouldn't have, and then Amazon pretty much found out about it. That was what happened, but at the same time, going back to the Isuzu, we would sit outside of our mutual friend's house and we would just order Domino's and eat it on the roof of the Isuzu. We were being pigs, bro. We were eating like lava cakes, crazy stuff. And then every night I'd be like, okay, so what'd you do this week? You know, how many clients did you sign? Da 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 da. He'd be like, how much did you do? And the fact that he would like, oh, yo, I have a client calling me, I gotta go. I thought was mad impressive. I'm like, yo, big shot over here. Like he's got, you know, because I never had a service-based business. So eventually it was, you know, as Muhammad said, it was like, look, if you teach me what you know about marketing, I'll teach you what I know about Amazon. We'll try and just pump and dump it until we get banned, you know, and see what we can grab out of it. And then I started an agency and I was trying to figure out how to get clients. And then Muhammad had, you know, still was doing flagship. And for a minute, like a very small second, we were working in separate agencies. Yeah. Okay. This is actually when I approached you for the first time. This is why you always dealt with me more so than the both of us.
Context, guys. We mentioned all that to get back into that.
Right, exactly. So then I reached out to Jake because I'm just trying to work with anybody that I can at this point because I know I'm good at what I do. I just need people that trust me to be able to work with them, you know? And so I go to Jake and I'm like, you're a business owner, I'm a business owner, let's try and make something happen, you know?
Business.
We were running, business. So we were running a style of ads that I guess you would call it exposure ads, brand awareness ads. Essentially, it's just, we're a service that I can't necessarily like persuade you to buy if scrolling on the couch at 9 p.m. at night. I'm a service where if you need me, you're gonna look for it. So I'm just gonna make myself as visible as possible. So Yelp, Google ads, phone call ads, stuff like that, right? I'm gonna expose myself as much as possible. So if you need my service, you're gonna find me first. That's what we were running for a long time. Then you came up with a roll-off container business. And I told you, look, I'll try the A&A stuff on lead generation, but that's probably not going to work because it's just not the type of service that works well in lead generation. But this container stuff does because these are people that need a service and they're willing to submit their information for a call back for it, okay? And a contractor late at night, there's enough of a persuasion about it, there's enough of a pain point about it that I could have a contractor scrolling on Instagram at 9 p.m. on his couch click into my ad. Whereas with the other service, it's not necessarily like that. So I said, you know what, let's try lead generation ads for the container service. That's when we started going, okay. Then we sat down and I was like, look, Jake, here's how you're gonna make ads that follow a lead generation like structure.
Format, yeah.
Right. And then I started teaching you call outs, hooks, ETA, offer, risk reversal. And then you were like, oh, like I'm starting to understand like how to really speak to people. And then that's how we eventually got into like, oh, I'm gonna go take this into all these other ventures. And then we got into like, okay, then just join my program.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much.
100%. No, actually kind of refreshing my memory a little bit now. I forgot about that, doing all the highlighted paragraphs and stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I always tell everybody, I had done a drop shipping store. I had done a product store where it was like, look, at the end of the day, and I remember I told you about this because Muhammad used to be like, yo, it's amazing that you're doing these numbers. And I'm like, dude, realistically, if you think about what I'm doing, it's not impressive. All I'm doing is I'm playing the lines between two different products. And the only reason I'm making money is because the person buying it doesn't know that it's $5 cheaper on Walmart. That's it. That's the only reason I'm making money. Like, thank God, I was just lucky. I was just playing the lines. That's not a real business. You know, that's not really like skills or character development, or you don't build your repertoire as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, playing the lines between two gimmicky products, you know? Especially with all this stuff coming about, like the TikTok shop stuff where it's like China, all this stuff about gimmicky drop shipping, trading, crypto. Like I'm sure there are skills that come out of it and there's like little niches that work well and do make you a better person, do make you a better business owner. But at the end of the day, the marketing stuff is like completely conceptually different. I'm making you the most important part of the puzzle. I'm building you as a person up to such a high standard that you personally are going to be worth thousands of dollars a month to another established business owner.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it's sustainable. That's how you can start to create foundation and security in something as risky as entrepreneurship, because this is risky. So you have to figure out a way to make it as sustainable and as secure as possible. The only way to do that is if you become the thing that's worth thousands of dollars. Now, Again, high level, we that's the wrong type of thinking. We have to get it onto the staff, remove you from the business, etc. Right? But okay, in the beginning, this is not gimmicky. I'm gonna make you extremely valuable to another successful, established business owner. He's gonna see something in you and pay you thousands of dollars for it. That's the whole thing here. That's why this works. So that's why, take it from me. If you're out there trying to do some drop shipping things, some TikTok shop, you just recently bought a course on something similar, I'm telling you, it's maybe a fun game in the meantime, but it literally is a video game. It's a video game. It's like there's points here and there's points here, and as long as there's a difference in them, you can extract the middle. That's not a business. You're not learning anything. You're not developing yourself, okay? You need to work on a business where you can walk away from it at the end, and again, now go apply it in a million different ways in a million different areas for so many different people, you know? And that's how you really get the return out of this business. That's how you squeeze the fruit out of it, yeah.
So yeah, guys, at this point in time, we've come a far way, man. We've come a far way. I want to say, Jake, we're very, very proud of you, bro. I mean, we're like literally at this point in time, you've spent so much time together, we're like growing up together almost. You know, I think we've definitely covered a lot of information as to what led us up until this point. I'm curious to ask you to start wrapping up. What do you see for yourself over the next 5 years in terms of any plans that we have together, as well as how you see the marketing skill sets that you picked up from CCC expanding in any other avenues that you can possibly predict or foresee?
Oh man, I mean, you know, I could pull out a list of ideas, you know what I mean, that I have under my belt that, you know, are all things that you could, it's a skill. You learn this skill and the possibilities are endless, and that's not me trying to be salesy or anything on it, or, you know what I mean, or, you know, promote it. I'm just saying it's a fact. I mean, I can literally go on my phone right now on ChatGPT, and I have an entire file called my $1 billion memory. And it is literally just lists of different business ideas, all of which revolve around marketing.
Really quick, let me ask you, can anybody shut you down right now? If anybody didn't want you selling what you're currently selling and making money from, could anybody tell you to stop and you would have to against your will?
No.
Okay.
The scrapyard, yes.
Okay.
My previous business, yes. This one, no.
Okay, this one, no. My Amazon business, didn't matter how good I was at it. Amazon said no, the hammer came down, and that was it. I was out of business.
Yep.
Because, what'd you say before, Jake? You said, hold on, what'd you just say? You said, you learn the skill and the possibilities are endless. This is learning the skill. This is not how to make money. If you start with the skill, we'll eventually teach you how to monetize it in a crazy way.
Yeah.
But really, at the core of this, it's bettering your skills, because I can teach you how to make money on Amazon. I can teach you how to make money on TikTok Shop, this and that. At the end of the day, those are not necessarily skills. Those people come down with the hammer, you're out of business. I'm going to teach you a skill, and now I'm going to say, okay, perfect, now go sell it to all these people. You know, and that's really the main difference here.
Absolutely.
Jake P, thank you so much, man. It's going to be great for clip farming. The last time that we do this interview, you know, based on the, I mean, regardless of the performance, we're probably going to do another one of these to update in 6 months. But guys, this is the first of a hopefully series that I'll be starting. Jake P, what are some of the handles that people can find you on Instagram? Because I know you're going to be using some of this content to build your personal brand as well. So how can the people find you?
Yeah, so I haven't started on my personal page yet, but you can go on Mr. Petriello. So that's
Mr. Petriello.
Mr. Petriello.
How do you spell that?
So that's what I'll get to next. That is my personal profile, which is public, that I'm starting to get into some content. So that is mr.petriello. Beyond that, that's where you would find me on that. That has the rest of my links on it. Yeah. So any for my other agencies, business, that'll have all the links connected to it, you know, as soon as you click on it. And that's the best place to find me until I further into my content and start taking that new path that way too.
Yeah. Excellent. And guys, if you don't already know, this is my business partner, Jake. His Instagram handle is?
Right now, it's West Founder.
Right now.
You might have to do some searching to find me. Figure it out.
Yeah, honestly, between Jake and I, we have a lot of stories. I'm thinking next episode of the series might be this guy, just because, I mean, we live together anyway, so might as well.
We should do one about, like, the beginning of everything.
Yeah, might as well bump one out together. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you're on YouTube, go check out Instagram. If you're coming from Instagram because you're seeing one of the clips, click the link in my bio and check out my YouTube, and we'll see you in the next one.
Beautiful.